Whether you're watching, listening or reading this, welcome back to the Runpreneur vlog, where we're on a mission to raise £1 million for children's charities by run vlogging on consecutive days the distance of one lap of the world. It's a staggering 40,075 kilometres, and on the basis that I'm running at least 5k every day, around about 50k a week when you include my longer runs, it's going to take somewhere in the region of 15 years to accomplish, so plenty of time to raise that staggering total of £1 million. I'm even going to do it barefoot style, so for those regulars will know that I vlog about my passions, which are all things entrepreneurship and running, and it is a beautiful morning today. The sun is shining, the temperature's picking up, so spring is well and truly on its way, and it's Tuesday Tactics today, where we talk about all things business systems and outsourcing, and today's topic is growing a team. So as always, if you like this episode, give it a like and a subscribe, and let's get started. So, growing a team. I've done various different episodes around similar aspects of growing a team. I believe this was a question that was raised in the Runpreneur community group. How do you grow a team? Well, it's a difficult question to answer, because you have to do it as you have to take stock of where you are first and foremost, because too many people jump in to building a team. They think that, oh yeah, we need to build a peak team, so they get stuck in straight away, but they don't have the financial resource, or their business doesn't have the financial resource to sustainably recruit a team. And what happens? You put too much financial burden and overhead on the business, and the business goes under. It is a double-edged sword, because, you know, on the flip side, building a team, if they're working on the correct areas of your business and focusing on driving revenue, then technically the more people you bring in, the more money you should make. But it doesn't work like that to begin with. There's all the setup and that side of things. You have to factor the cost in before you'll start optimizing the performance of your team members. So if I go back, I mean, I have a team of 15 people now. I've grown it relatively quickly. Back in my property business days, in the early days, I started as a one-man band. I gradually grew to a team of 9. Then everything kind of went wrong. We had to downsize considerably, and we ended up continuing as a team of 3. I then met my ex-business partner, where we co-owned Systems and Outsourcing as a business, and we grew the team in that business to, I think, 14 strong at one point. But again, that partnership didn't end up working out as we'd have liked. Pure and simply, we had different directions and different goals and objectives. So I obviously lost that team. I'm now in kind of phase 3, where I've now got 5-6 different companies that I've built in a very short space of time, and I now have a team of 15 again. So it's been like that, and to get this right, I'm a lot more conscious now of the data and the metrics. I try and make every decision linked to data. Okay, so that's really important when you're building a team. It needs to be financially sustainable, because it's pretty stressful when you have people, you have to let them go, Now, things have happened for varying reasons. The property business, you know, we had an awful experience with a rent guarantee company, which basically wiped out our income by about 60% almost overnight. So inevitably that was kind of unforeseen, and as a result there was some staffing casualties. With Systems and Outsourcing, you know, I think it was just a case that we were putting in so many different directions that we were recruiting kind of not collaboratively as a team. And I think there's a real big lesson here, is you need a very clear direction as a leadership team or leadership individual, and everybody needs to be brought into that, and the decisions need to be linked to that, not multiple different people pulling in different directions, because ultimately you build. Because really, when I look back at my time in previous companies, is, you know, potentially when we had 14 members of staff, we recruited different little groups. We all had our own team. where we could have probably had just one team that was a third of the size, we would have been able to deliver the same outcomes had we all been put in the same direction. So that's a really important part. So what happens if you're just starting fresh? Okay, well, before I go there, now that I've got 15 members in my new team, to be honest with you, I'm probably one or two too many, but you know, there's a couple of people that have joined the team who I know are exceptionally good people, and you need the best people around you. And sometimes if an opportunity presents itself and you've got somebody who you know can add value, then sometimes you just have to invest in that, in knowing that it's going to increase your overhead, but believe in the fact that it's going to bring in the return. And that's what I've done. But I certainly won't be bringing anybody new in for the foreseeable. We have a team now that we can scale and grow, but we are still in a stable and profitable state, which is really, really important, even with such a heavy duty, person strong workforce, which comes at a considerable cost. So if I was at the beginning, right, because I always talk about the three most important things in growing and scaling a business. Number one is systems and processes. Businesses are built on systems and processes, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Number two, people. No matter how good your systems and processes are and how automated you want to be, you need people to grow. Okay, so have to have people. Okay, people equal problems at times, but you have to have people. So get over that, and you need to become the best manager you can be, the best delegator, empowerer, whatever you want to call it, to bring your team in, the best people in, to ultimately run things for you, which is really, really important. And the third aspect is data. Okay, data should be driving your decisions. Really, really important. So we're talking about people here. So if I was back at the beginning, I was starting a new business, we were very, very early, making the odd sale, but nothing substantial. I would invest straight away, and I'd have a bit of money put aside for this, is in a PA. So somebody, I call it a VPA, virtual personal assistant. Someone you can get from the Philippines. You'll be paying somewhere between £3 and £4 an hour in general. Even if you get them for 10 hours a week, you'll be able to get some of the administrative work or the lower level stuff off of your plate, which enables you to then focus on growing and scaling your business. So when you've got that person is integral, and you'll find that their hours will go up. You should get yourself into a place as quickly as possible with that individual, whereby you are solely focused on growing the income for that business. Okay, if you're doing things that is not directly linked to growing the income of that business, you need to pass it on to your PA and continue with that mindset, because you're then driving the growth. You will then drive the growth of that business until you're at the stage where you can bring in the next person. And what you'll do, I'm assuming you won't have, a financial director or somebody, but in the planning stage of your business before you even start, you should be forecasting. You should have a forecast in place where you identify break-even points for your product or service, how many people you need, how many products and sales you need to bring in your first member of staff, or you may just put that into the startup cost, but how many sales you need to bring in your second person, okay, and your third person, and you want to try and get to 4. Okay, the reason for that, in I wouldn't say super quick, but as quickly as it's financially sustainable, because you look at the different sections of a business. Okay, you have sales, marketing, sales, operations, finance. Now they're all very different roles that require a very different type of person. So ultimately, you may find that your PA is well versed to perhaps running your operations if they're super organised and that side of things in terms of the delivery of whatever you sell. You then want to focus on bringing somebody in from a marketing perspective who's going to bring in more leads for you to sell to, because you're going to be selling at this stage. You then bring in someone to take control of the finances to make sure that you're collecting what you should be collecting, and that you're running your company correctly. So someone who's well versed in managing the financial side. That could be outsourced to an accountant, by the way. It doesn't have to be somebody you bring in independently as a contractor or an employee. You can outsource the whole thing. You can outsource to marketing departments, etc. But I always like to bring marketing in-house, because it gives you more flexibility to kind of pivot and change and be dynamic in your marketing approach. And then last but not least, when you're at that level, you can then bring somebody in to replace you from doing the sales, which then allows you to focus on more strategic growth and strategic partnership collaboration side of growth. So that is the model that I would follow. And then once you get to 4, you've got somebody who's kind of a key figure in each stage of your business. You're then going to bring people in under that as you grow and scale. Okay, so for each department you bring in a secondary level. So you go 4, 8, kind of, you know, you have 4, 8, then you might go to 12 or 16. So you're kind of growing in teams of 4 ultimately. But it will all be led by data when you can afford to do it. And also you have to understand where you're going as a business. It may be that you just want a lifestyle business and 4 people is enough that you'll ever need. Okay, and that's absolutely fine. But when I say you need at least 4 people, you're going to need that team in place for you to be able to step away from the day-to-day running, which turns that business where you're going to be hustling for 40, 60-hour weeks. Once you bring that infrastructure in, you can step away and it can almost be a passive or much more passive income stream. So it's a really, really important mindset shift to do that. And it's the hardest one a lot of people find, is learning to let go. But this is how I would go about building a team. So hopefully this is useful and will help people. But the next thing that you need to consider as well is how do you recruit these people. And I'll do separate episodes on this, but in a nutshell, you know, there's some, you know, my previous role as a co-owner of Systems and Outsourcing, we had a very structured recruitment process. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And it's a really simple process really. You have an application form, okay, it's an electronic application form that you're attaching to the job description. So anybody who wants to apply for the job has to fill in the application form. And this is where it's the kind of qualification questionnaire, if you like, whereby you're going to be clarifying, well, what's the minimum standard of computer hardware that they've got, what's the pay rate they're desiring, and you're going to have a set specification that you want people to pass before they go to the next level. But you know, you might want to do some basic test typing, how quickly can they type. It's going to be relevant to the role, and you might ask some personality-based questions to see how they kind of fare against your kind of culture as a business. And you have a scoring metric that you're attached to that. Somebody else can run this once you've set it all up. And then the people that get through that application form, you then list in a format by score, and maybe the top 10 you'll take through to a test task. And the test task is going to be something specific to what the role is going to be. So it might be, if it's marketing, I might, you know, ask them to, if I was going to want to increase my sales in this business, what would you do? What would the strategy? How would you take me on as a brand new client? I might ask them that to get an idea for their knowledge of marketing, and they might put together something like a 1-page marketing plan in an hour or something like that will give me a good understanding of their knowledge and strategy behind their plans. If it's something like accounting, you know, I might get them to run some data on, you know, I might give them some spreadsheet to analyse and see how what they produce from some data sets to see how good they are at analysing data. So it's going to be relevant to the role. Then once you've given them test tasks, again, you'll score them, or you'll get somebody in your team who knows the business inside out to score them, and you might put some set criteria in. And then the last step is you'll get them to do a video interview. So what we're going to do here is we're going to ask them to do a less than 5-minute video answering some quick questions. So you'll record maybe 10 questions or maybe 5 questions that are vitally important in that role. And you know, you can search on Google for best interview questions for a specific role, and you'll find quite a few good ones. So pick and choose the ones that are more relevant to your business, and then you send that video across to the applicant, and they then send in a pre-recorded response. You can whip through those on double speed in a couple of minutes per video interview. So you might have 3 to 5 that you might be looking at this point, and then obviously the one that's best, you can then jump on a quick call, formalise things, and get them onboarded. So it's a quite easy process. This is the right way to do it, absolutely, because you're doing things, but it can take a period of time to kind of go through that. Occasionally I'll also kind of take someone on ad hoc on Fiverr or Upwork to do a singular task, and if they're really good, I'll give them some more, and if they're really good, I'll then offer them a more permanent role. That's another way of doing it, so you can kind of feel your way in as a pay-as-you-go. So there's multiple ways you can do this. The other thing is there's loads of Facebook groups with hundreds of thousands of virtual assistants, so you can put applications in there and get people to come through, and you might, you know, get your applications just to go straight into test task, or you can put them through the same application of what we use our onlinejobs.ph generally as our recruitment drive. But it depends on speed and how quickly and the importance of the role. You know, the more importance of the role, the more structured recruitment process you want. All roles are important, but you can, like I say, have a test and feel process, and I've done that successfully on numerous occasions where I've brought people in on a singular task or two singular tasks, and if they've been really good, I've offered them more, and then it's evolved to a more permanent position rather than, so it's almost like you're interviewing them for a probation period by giving them actual work to work on. So, but then you have to factor in all the kind of onboarding costs and time that goes into onboarding people just on a temporary basis. So it's horses for courses. But either way, you need a structured approach to doing this. You need an approach to do it when you need it, and it needs to be driven by data. I think that's ultimately the key point here. So that's pretty much it for me today. I'll go through recruitment in more detail on separate videos, but I wanted to go through my journey of recruiting teams and losing them, and now how we kind of adjust things. So the one caveat to the whole rule is that you often hear entrepreneurs going on about the best entrepreneurs are surrounded by the best people. So if you know of someone who's exceptional, and you've got, you know, social proof that they are really good, and you have an opportunity to take somebody on who's really good, even if you can't afford it, sometimes you need to ask yourself if it's worth making the investment in that. And more often than not, it is, because if you get a good person around you, it can make a massive difference to kind of spearhead the growth of the business. So that's the only caveat to this rule. Everything else has to be led by data. So it's pretty much it for me today. If you've got any questions on this, drop me a comment. I'll respond to everyone. If it's a bigger question, I'll do a separate blog episode and tag you in. Please check the links in my bio where you can watch similar content. It's all catalogued nice and neatly by playlist, and there'll soon be the blog and the podcast accompanying the YouTube channel, so it should be easy for you to find relevant content. And also, most importantly, keep up to date with my challenge to raise £1 million for children's charities by run blogging on consecutive days the distance of one lap around the planet. So keep following me on that. It's going to be an epic challenge, but that's my true passion in raising life-changing money for so many children. So all I have to say is that the content I talk about is always geared around helping people overcome the emotions of stress, overwhelm and anxiety by using exercise, or in my case running, as a release mechanism to kind of process what's going on, clear your head, you know, gain clarity and then refocus and move forwards. If you don't have that process in place, or that release mechanism, it's like pressure that builds in a pipe, pressure being stress, okay, and the stress will build up and build up and build up. If you don't release it, it turns into overwhelm. Overwhelm's when you start freezing and procrastinating. Before you know it, it turns into anxiety, panic attacks, anxiety attacks, and you're into the realms of mental health issues, which clearly is what we want to avoid. Now, I've been there before. I've lost multiple businesses because of these emotions. I've lost multiple business partners, and I've almost been bankrupt. So, and believe you me, it's a dark place. I wouldn't wish it upon my worst enemy. Hiya! Well done! A little child waving on the side, which is always nice to see. But anyway, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. And it's no coincidence that since I've been doing this running vlog, which is my release mechanism, I've made more progress in the last 10 months of doing so than I have in the previous 4 years. So I hope there's enough social proof there to show this stuff really works. So my pledge to you is that if you are struggling with this, just reach out, drop me a message, and there's no catch here. I'll jump on a call. Everything I do on Runpreneur is charity fundraising based, but also value giving. So there's no profit or monetary sales aspect here that I'm focusing on. I'm focusing on helping people. And we'll jump on a call and I'll give you a few hints and tips that I know will be transferable into your life and can make a massive difference. And several people have taken me up on this already, and I know we've made some really positive differences to their lives. So I always said, if this vlog just helps one person or saves one business, it's been 1,000,000% worthwhile. So all I have to say is, if you like this episode, please give it a like, comment and a subscribe on whichever platform you're viewing it on. If you want to see similar content, check out the links in my bios and you'll find out where you can watch them in different formats, and keep up to date with my challenge. And all I have to say is stay positive, stay happy, and I'll see you tomorrow.